Hello guys and welcome back to Haymanager with me Alex, and today we've got my second revision of my FPL team. I'm going to show you who I've transferred in, who I've transferred out, why I've done so, just a bit of a review as to where we're at with the Premier League season. The friendlies have come to a close. It's been a pretty good week for a lot of teams. Man United, not so good, but for Arsenal, very good, beating Barcelona. Everton doing very well. Brighton doing very well. You've got to look at teams like that. Crystal Palace, not so much. Newcastle getting a lot of draws in there. Aston Villa being pretty good on the attack, but not very good in the defence. So yeah, a lot of things to consider. So anyway, straight into the action. Let's have a look at my team and what we've been doing with this. So, as you can see, there's quite a few changes that I've made. I've taken out quite a few players. I think if you look at my transfer history so far, you can't see anything actually for the time being. So I'll have to go and have a look at that. But for the time being, I've put in a few different players. So I know for a fact I've taken Martinez out, I've put Onana in. Knowing Manchester United lost 2-0 to Real Madrid, but you got a Jude Bellingham chip where questionable if he was offside or not, and then a Hosselu overhead kick which was just out of the ordinary. We can tell they're friendly games, you can tell the players that are getting fit. It's a lot of based on fitness. I think he's going to be an outstanding star. I think Andre Onana, you saw what he did last season. He took Inter Milan to the Champions League final. 24 games he played. I'll show you, I'll get up on the screen the graphic that I've got of him now, as you can see here. So obviously no points per match or ICT index, but 24 games last season. In the Serie A, 8 clean sheets, 61 saves. So you're looking at about 3 saves a match, where I don't think that gets you FPL points. 3 to 5, I think it's 5 saves and you get an extra point. So I think, to be honest, he might make a few saves. The United defence isn't all that, but I think he's good enough to be making those types of saves. He's very good, he's very nimble, very much of a cat of a goalkeeper, sweeper keeper, so to speak. 5 million, I think he's brilliant, but he's been selected by 16% of players. So if you're looking for a differential pick, he's leaning just towards being favoured by a lot of players, but not so much on the other side. So that's Andre Onana. In the defence, we've got Estupiñán, Zinchenko and Shaw, they're mainstays. And then I've brought in Ashley Young. So go through him as a player. I've got him there, as you can see, in all his glory, sat on his chair. Ashley Young, for me, bring up previous seasons. I'll show you on the card itself. Points per match, 3. 68.7 on the index, 0.6% selected by at the moment. In pre-season, he's played the game. Obviously, he joined late, but he's replaced Michaelenko as favoured left back, I think, for Sean Dyche. He strikes me as a Sean Dyche type of player. In that left back role, he can bomb forward but knows to stay back. Michaelenko wasn't as creative, I think, as him. Last season, you can see here, he got 9 clean sheets with Aston Villa, so he's got to have done something correct in those 23 starts. You're looking at around about just over 2.5 games. Per 2.5 games, he's going to get a clean sheet. For 4.5 million, I think he's a good pickup, and he likes to bomb it forward. We've seen him play very much an advanced role with this like left-hand side. It'd be Dwight McNeil and Young, so it'd be very defensive going down that side, but very good coming inside. I think Ashley Young's a good cheap buy for 4.5 million. He's my cheaper option in that defence. I've also brought in Digne, someone that I've not really highlighted, but I think with who was the defender that I chose last time? I cannot remember the defender that plays for Aston Villa now. The left back for Aston Villa, Alex Moreno, that's the one. With him now getting injured, I think Digne is going to be one of the key players for Aston Villa on that left-hand side. He's already got an assist in pre-season. I think he looks pretty good. They do play Newcastle in their first game of the season, which is why he's on my bench. But then they do have Everton, Burnley, Crystal Palace. They have a difficult set, but then you're looking at Wolves, West Ham, Luton, Forest, Fulham. I want players on my bench who I can sort of bring in and swap out, and that's what your bench is for, really, to exchange in and out, and that's why I've got him there. So then in my midfield, I have actually swapped out Rashford, and I have gone for my favoured player now, who is Bruno Fernandes. So let's have a look at Bruno Fernandes. He's averaging 4.8 points per match on the ICT index, 359 on there. Selected by only a quarter of the Premier League players, 25.3%, 37 matches played, 8 goals, 9 assists last year for him in the Fantasy Premier League. I think at the moment, from what I've seen from Manchester United, Rashford doesn't seem to have mobilised just yet. Bruno Fernandes is a player that's always going to give you 100%, and he looks lethal. He's taking shots from range again. He's got the creative freedom. Mount allows that because he gets forward. Him and Fernandes seems to be running back and forth. Then you have like the likes of Mainu or Casemiro sitting that CDM role. I just like how Fernandes plays this role, and if they do get Højlund, they got Rashford coming off the left, Højlund up front, and it's either Sancho or Antony on that right hand side. Fernandes is going to be feeding them left, right, and centre, so he just looks like a better complete player for me. 20.03 for his expected goal involvements. I think he's spot on. I think he's absolutely spot on. Then up next, who have I also brought in? Saka stays, Foden stays, Solly March. So I've brought in Solly March, another fella that I've got a graphic for. Solly March FPL card. I don't know who's going to play this role. For Brighton, you know, on the right hand side, you've got a lot of players in there now. Asus and Ciso, Botanene, I think his name is, I can't remember his name now, but he's very good on that right hand side. You've got Anglita, I think his name is, or Anglora, who's scored like a double in a friendly on that right hand side. But Solly March, he was a consistent player for them last season. 31 matches played, 6 goals, 10 assists, 4.5 points per game, 271.4 on the index. If you look at how many times he hit the woodwork, I think he was up there with probably the top 5, top 10 players. If you watch the games that I watched from Brighton, because they were an interesting team to watch last year, he always hit the post. He was always one of those players. I think, to me, a 3.1% team selected by percentage, he is a differential pick. Mitoma's going to be favoured. You've got Pascal Gross. But for me, Solly March going forward, it depends what type of formation they play. I suspect you're going to get like a Billy Gilmore with then maybe a Pascal Gross. I don't know who else might play in that. It seems to be a 4-2-3-1, it looks like at the moment. So Pascal Gross going forward and backwards, sitting in that. He's a very talented midfielder. With Caicedo now leaving, Billy Gilmore seems to play that role a bit more. Will he play like a central attacking midfielder? I don't know. But on that right-hand side, that left-hand side, you've got Welbeck, Ferguson and João Pedro, who all look key to that striker position. Will Solly March get pushed out of the position? I think he's a differential pick. I think he's going to start. He has to start for me. He was so good last year. I just can't see how they can't play him. So yeah, Solly March for me I've brought in. I think he's a good little buy. Then up front, Jesus, Haaland. I've actually replaced my 2 other picks that are going to be on the bench. We've got Wisser in. I think Wisser, he's played pretty good football over the last 2 years. You can see there, not that many starts, probably starting half the games, maybe even just a little bit under. 7 goals, 4 assists last year. The year before, 7 goals, 2 assists. Obviously, Tony's out until December, so he's going to get a lot of playing time. But Brentford have quite a nice run of games in there, so he's going to be a nice little player to just switch in and out for Gabriel Jesus if he has a tricky game. Haaland, I know he has Newcastle second game week, and he has West Ham away, so probably try and maybe not pick him. I don't know if it depends on the form of Haaland. And then I've also brought in Buendia because Jacob Ramsey got injured. My differential pick got injured, so another one in there. 1.5% of people have selected him. Buendia's got an assist already in pre-season. He's looking pretty well. I think he got the goal as well, actually, maybe 2 goals. But he's doing pretty well in pre-season. He played a lot of games last year. Looks favoured this year. 5 goals, 3 assists last year. Obviously 10 expected goal involvements. I think if Aston Villa have a decent start, which I recommend they will, you're going to get Everton, Burnley, and then Crystal Palace. And then this nice run of games here, as I pointed out last time: West Ham, Luton, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Wolves, and Bournemouth, all within around about 7 gaming weeks. I think he's a nice addition to the side. He's going to even out the side a lot there. So that's the update. That's what I've got going. You know, I've got I'm playing a 4-4-2 at the moment. Ashley Young in there. Whether or not I go for a bit of a, you know, if I reduce my pick in Buendia and March and go for maybe someone a bit more solid, you know, I could maybe get Rashford in there if I just got a £4 million midfielder. You know, I've got to really try and focus in, but the main one that I want to try and do is Liverpool play Bournemouth on the second game week, and this is something that I lost out on last time. I want to be able to swap out a player and bring in someone else. The main one I'm thinking is maybe Wisser for a Darwin Núñez, which is why I've allowed myself in the transfer bank 1 million. So maybe next week if I transfer someone out, be it maybe Solly March, Zinchenko might not start, or Arsenal might have a bit of a slopey season from a defensive point of view. Depends, you'll have to see how they start off. But I want to evaluate that. At the moment, this is my starting 11. Onana, Estupiñán, Zinchenko, Shaw, Young, all wing backs. Bruno Fernandes, Saka, Foden, March, and then Jesus and Haaland. A nice switch. I've got 3 Arsenal players in there because they have a very kind start to the year. 2 United players, 2 City, 2 Brighton, Three United players, sorry, with Onana in, but obviously Everton in there as well. A lot of players from Everton, Aston Villa and Brentford. I've not gone anywhere near Spurs. I don't want to touch Spurs. They don't scare me, but I can't predict them at the moment. They've drew with West Ham. They beat someone 5-1. Richarlison scored 3, but I don't think he starts. It's a weird one. So anyway, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, as ever, please leave a like, subscribe if you are new. This is my second revision. Hopefully this gives you a bit of an insight into my thinking, who I think is going to play. And yeah, that should be everything from me. I hope you did enjoy the video, as ever, and I shall catch you in the next one. From me, Alex, have a great day. Ciao.